Welcome, ball dwellers. My name is Nacho Bidness. Here we are at Hangman's Alley. Many stories have two sides to them, and the story on this settlement does too. In particular, this was the first settlement that I began building up. Now, I've spruced it up later on with some additional items from downloadable content, but this was the first. It's a very small area, and it felt like a good place to try and start practicing some of my building techniques. As you can see here in the before shots, after I've gone through and cleared everything out, the sides are high, the light is poor, and to me that suggested tenement apartments. That felt like the kind of character that this place had. If you're not familiar with tenement apartments, I will put a link in the description, but they were buildings that had multiple families with shared toilet facilities, oftentimes shared cooking facilities, and poor light, and oftentimes no external light, and also poor ventilation. So although I have seen a number of really great settlements that the design centered around hanging stuff from the sides here, they gave it a more open feeling. I chose deliberately to make this as small and as cramped as possible. Here we are at the Tenements after it's been built up. The second part of this story is that in-game I decided that these were the people that were too poor to get into Diamond City. And so they have built their own town and their own place to live, even if it's not someplace that people would necessarily choose to live in. Those turrets up there have a tendency to kill a lot of raiders that happen to spawn right over here, and we happen to have some, not just some, a bunch of provisioners coming in simultaneously. Better get in the door before they block it. Coming inside, there is a sharp 90-degree turn and two shotgun turrets. This is a very defensible position, which is one of the few things that these settlers have going for them. Now, I'd like to be able to show you an overview of the place as we walk in, but as you can see, it's just entirely too cramped. Coming over here, the chemistry station and the workshop over here, the machine shop, was something that the settlers didn't want to have in their main building, and so they isolated it in this pre-existing structure. It was just too smelly for the chem station and too noisy for the machine shop to put them in to the main tenement building. Now here, the settlers had a dog. Poor thing died. Okay, not really. That was, I had all my companions here before and I just forgot to delete Dog Meets Doghouse. We've got a water purifier over here and a very small communal garden, which is in keeping with the tenement apartments theme of having small gardens tucked away wherever they can fit. These folks are too poor and they're not flush with scientists. They cannot afford the fusion generators. So they've got these loud, noisy generators that they did the best they could to get away from the rest of the place, but unfortunately, they can't get them all there. There's another spot where there's some more generators. Coming up here to the guard post, you can see here that he's got a good view of the only way into the tenement settlement. And if there are roving raiders or super mutants, this guy has an opportunity to run down here and sound the alarm. Coming back over here, jammed up over in the corner here is a small communal bathroom. There's a place to store some clothes and some fluffy towels. There's a toilet and some communal soap and toiletries, which are frankly probably disgusting because, as you can see, I have 22 people here. The place is chock full. I literally can't squeeze any more in. I did glitch the size bar a couple of times, but I was starting to get nervous. This was early on before I learned that you can just go to town on that size bar. There is no hot running water, and so we've got a bucket here in the fire barrel to heat water for baths. Come back out here on the other side. There's a scavenging plate station, some water pumps, the communal kitchen, as well as the settlement workbench. Coming back indoors, these folks are too poor for the highest level of traders. They'll trade with people who come along, but they just don't have much to their name. This is also something that I don't do very often anymore. Stack all my traders up next to each other like that. Out the back, there is a doctor in the settlement, but he is more of a enthusiastic amateur than an actual trained doctor. He does the best he can, but looking at the facility he's got, his best isn't very good. There are a couple more toilets back here, along with some soap, because employees must wash hands before returning to work. This doorway over here, I couldn't find a good way to wall this off completely, so I threw some turrets down. Anything that was to come through that door would get destroyed by these turrets. Unfortunately, enemies tend to spawn inside the settlement, which is really, really frustrating. Coming back over here, I jammed a couple more generators underneath this awning here, just because there was not really room anywhere else to do it. We've got another farming area out the back, which is manned by the people that live here as a group. It's a communal farm, which means that the food is shared equally. Coming up here, this is another way into the settlement, unless you wall it off with some big blocks or something. I threw some turrets down up here. As it turns out, they don't do very much because raids don't happen to spawn from that direction. Now, we're going to go back inside and take a look at the second and third floors of the large apartment building here. On the second floor, we have a small bar along with the clothing merchant. I looked at this as an opportunity to start trying out junk decoration. It's supposedly gotten better since the last patch. It's certainly gotten easier since the last patch, but I remain unconvinced that things are going to stay where they are supposed to stay. For example, that bottle used to be standing upright. So, I guess the experiment continues. The settlers do gather here as a group at night because they're attracted to that bar. That's part of their AI settings. Coming up the stairs here, we come to something that I don't do anymore. It's just a big barracks. It was the only way that I could jam enough beds into this place to actually house everyone. But if you look at like what some of the better YouTubers that are doing settlements are doing, they're not doing this, and neither do I whenever I can help it. I did put this in as close to the pre-existing buildings as possible. You can tell that in a few spots like that one, they're starting to kind of just barely clip in. This was just absolutely as big as I could make it. Now I do wish, coming out on the roof here, I do wish that the height limit was just a little bit higher so I could throw down some chairs and maybe a picnic table or something up here so that people could have somewhere to come up and enjoy the sun, because the whole place is just dark, which was the point, but I also wanted to have a nice little contrast. The other thing that disappointed me about this roof was I thought I was going to get that wire to pass through that hole. I didn't quite make it, and by the time I got this high, there was no way that I was going to start over. So we'll just pretend that that wire is not clipping. So there you have it. The Tenements, the home for the poorest of the citizens of the Commonwealth. So let's take one last quick look around the settlement at night, just to give you an idea of what it looks like all lit up. I like to think that these spotlights are so bright that anybody coming in would not even notice the guard upstairs. The subway light, I think, adds a nice little accent to the Minutemen flag there. And this area is nicely lit for anyone who wants to work late at night. Over here, the communal bathroom is open at all hours. And I think that the candles on the fire barrel give it just a nice, warm, homey glow. And we come back outside, take a look upstairs. We can see people coming, but they can't necessarily see us. And we're going to come back down inside, run straight out the back, and take a look at this area. It's lit, but not overwhelmingly so. It's again, it almost feels cozy, especially with the nice glow coming from the area upstairs at the bar. One thing I will mention, because it's even more visible here, there's a glitch there. I have no idea how I started that. It has not gone away in many, many hours of gameplay. If you know how to make it go away, drop me a note in the comments. So, as we wander through the bar, it is very late at night, the bar is closed, everybody is asleep. upstairs. I imagine that between the snores and people talking in their sleep and farts and everything else, that this would be a horribly noisy room to try and sleep in. Not to mention, with limited bathroom facilities, this place probably doesn't smell so good either. So we come out on the roof, and as we take a final look and end the video here, I want to say thank you for watching. Like if you liked the video. Subscribe if you want to see more. If you didn't like, please tell me why, and I'll try and do better next time. So this is Nacho Bidness, reminding you that it is a great big wasteland out there. Let's go have some fun in it.